got a quorum. Let us call this meeting to order. Welcome all to the March 19th meeting of the Economic Development Authority of the City of Lynchburg. We'll start with a roll call. Sean Hewitt.
Here.
Patricia Mosby. Pat is absent. Kevin Peterzak. Kevin is absent. John Stone, here. Toby Tomko.
Here.
Richard Tugman.
Here.
Sackett Wood.
Here.
Thank you. Item 2, approval of minutes from our February 19th meeting. Those are in your meeting packet. Any comments, suggestions, questions before I accept a motion to approve? May I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor of approval of the minutes from our February 19th meeting, please signify by saying aye. 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 All opposed, like sign. All right, minutes are approved. Item 3, public hearing, bond issue for VES. Margette and Pavlina.
You want me to go? All right. So you all will hold a public hearing for the proposed revenue bond financing for Virginia Episcopal School. The recommendation is to conduct the public hearing and consider adoption of an inducement resolution recommending that the Economic Development Authority of the City of Lynchburg issue revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $25 million for the benefit of Virginia Episcopal School. And in summary, on your in your meeting packet is VES is a nonprofit coeducational boarding and day secondary school located at 400 VES Road in the city. It has applied for Economic Development Authority of the City of Lynchburg issuance of tax-exempt revenue bonds in the amount, as I said, not to exceed $25 million. The proceeds from the bonds will be used to finance improvement to VES's campus, including the renovation of Pendleton Hall, a historic dormitory, approximately 10,877 square feet, improvements to Pope Stadium and more fields, including a conversion of fields to turf and lighting upgrades, replacement of 2 grass athletic fields with turf fields and track resurfacing, and additional campus facility improvements and deferred maintenance projects. So the project will support continued modernization of this beautiful campus and enhance the school's ability to attract students and faculty. VES currently employs approximately 81 employees, and they have an average annual salary of $77,000. And I will remind you that these bonds will be issued through the authority, but will not constitute a debt or obligation of the City of Lynchburg, the Commonwealth, or the authority. And Tracy Shaw is here, as several people's bond counsel, as well as the headmaster, who is leaving in June, and the new headmaster, if you all have any questions. But we should go into the public hearing first, or let them get up and speak, Pavlina?
I think we can let them.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to my speech?
Yeah, I think Margette's covered the legal side of it pretty well. Yeah. I will say that we'll be back at a later time to get a bond passed for a bond resolution which specifies the form, terms, and provisions of the actual bond. All you're doing here is adopting an inducement resolution, evidencing your willingness to finance the project through the authority. So at some point in the future, you'll get a resolution which will describe specifically the rates, the term, the various aspects of the bonds, and you'll be asked to approve that resolution. Maybe the next meeting, maybe a meeting after that, depending on the timing of the project.
All right, good morning. As Margette referenced, I'm stepping down, I'm retiring from VES at the end of June. So I brought a big team here, brought my successor, our assistant head of school for advancement, Henry Clark. I've also got our CFO, Terry Lanham. But we're very excited about this project. We're taking care of some much needed improvements for the school. But I thought I would let Henry speak to them a little bit because he's going to have to get them built. And not me, so.
Thank you so much, Garth, for your tenure here. You've been a delight.
Thank you, Garth. I'm Henry Clark,
And as many of y'all know, the heart of VES is about 110 years old. And of Langern Chapel, Jet Hall, Pendleton Hall, Barksdale Gym, the building that has gotten the most wear and tear is Pendleton Hall, which is a dorm that can house up to 44 boys. So you can imagine that it's been kind of rough and tumble in there over the last 110 years. And we have an amazing opportunity to restore that dorm through the interest of a younger alumna who is making a multi-year commitment in honor of her best friend that she met at VES. It's gonna be a really powerful story, I think, about the testament of the school and the relationships there. But she's taking a massive problem off our hands. Approximately $15.5 million will go to the construction of that, and then our athletic facilities, really need these upgrades. New track surface, that's about 20 years old now. 2 turf fields, and then there's a little bit in the request for a couple of deferred maintenance. But we think we will have these fully funded and paid back over the period of the bond. So be happy to answer any questions about the school or where we're headed.
What's your current enrollment and what's maximum enrollment?
So current enrollment, well, it hovers between 250 and 260. With this dorm coming offline, we'll be capped at 250 for a year. When it comes back online, that's 44 beds. Now we will have crowded the other dorms a little bit in that time, so it's not going to be a net 44. But we are also very keen on being 1/3 Lynchburg, 2/3 boarding, and we don't ever want to upset that ratio. So, I mean, there is opportunity to go to 300, combination of day and these additional beds. It will require more bonds and more work to our chapel and our dining hall and our to really build that future. But I really think 275 is probably our sweet spot.
Can you remind us where Pendleton Hall is? Is it the front?
Yeah, the main building with the big columns, that's Jet, and Pendleton's immediately to the left. One of the things that happened in the 60s was a sort of unattractive hyphen was built between Jet and Pendleton, which makes Pendleton look sort of like an addition. That will come out in the project, and Pendleton will be its own sort of dignified, freestanding structure again that we're really excited about.
Thank you.
Do you have a view yet on how much of the business, the development business, is going to be with local companies?
I think all of it.
Great.
We're working with English Construction. The architect is from Richmond, so I should clarify that. But
Thank you.
How soon would you start?
we'd love to put shovels in the ground in June.
And hopefully have it complete the following August. The dorm will be offline for 1 year.
Our construction manager says there are 2 times you can open a dorm, August and August, so we better hit it.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we need a motion to adopt the inducement resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All in?
John, would you do me a favor and say you want to open the public hearing now?
Sure.
And then you can already address that people have spoken in favor, and then you might just want to ask if there's anybody to speak in opposition, and then therefore close the public hearing and the authority takes a vote.
Okay. Apologize.
No
I
problem.
also neglected to mention before, just so it's on the record, Sean Hewitt is our acting secretary today.
Thank you.
So we are opening a public hearing. We have heard comments in favor of VES and adopting a resolution for the bonds. Do we have anyone who'd like to speak against? Very well.
Public hearing is closed, and the matter rests with the authority.
Public hearing is closed. Thank you. So now we can accept a motion to adopt an inducement resolution recommending the issuance of bonds in the amount not to exceed $25 million for the benefit of Virginia Episcopal School.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Good luck.
So, agenda item 4 will be a public hearing for a Centra bond. Margette and Pavlina.
Okay. So this is a proposed revenue bond refinancing for Centra Health. You all will conduct a public hearing and consider adoption of an inducement resolution recommending that the Economic Development Authority of the City of Lynchburg issue revenue bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $365 million, plus amounts necessary to refinance certain previously issued bonds for the benefit of Centra Health. Centra Health, a Virginia nonprofit healthcare system headquartered in Lynchburg, has applied to the Economic Development Authority of the City of Lynchburg for the issuance of the revenue bonds in the amount, as I said, not to exceed $365 million, together with the amounts necessary to refinance previously issued bonds. These bonds will be used to finance projects on the Lynchburg General Hospital campus, including construction of a new 6-story medical facility to expand patient capacity, replacement and expansion of the emergency department, expansion of perioperative services, labor and delivery and mother-baby units, development of additional medical surgical units and support space, construction of a new main entrance to the hospital, development of additional surface parking and access improvements, construction of utility infrastructure, including a central utility plant and geothermal system, renovations and equipment for existing medical facilities, and refinancing of certain previously issued bonds related to Centra's facilities. The project will support Centra's continued investment in healthcare infrastructure serving Lynchburg and the surrounding region. And you all, previous action, as we might have said, is in October, I think, of 2022, you issued bonds for $275 million. And we have T.W. Bruno, who is the attorney for Centra, and Rob in the audience here, CEO, and our vice chair will recuse himself at this time because he heavily participates at Centra Health.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So you can open the public hearing and then ask if anybody's here to speak in favor. And then if anybody's wants to speak in opposition, then you can close and do exactly what you did before.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
So we will open a public hearing to consider the adoption of this inducement resolution. Would anyone like to speak in favor of Centra?
Good morning. As Margette said, I'm T.W. Bruno. We're serving as bond counsel on this transaction, and I, again, think she covered it. This is going to be a new money financing for part of Centra's modernization plan. Most, if not all, of the new money will be at the Lynchburg General Hospital. We will also, like VES, be coming back. Our plan is to come back at the April meeting where there will be a bond resolution to sort of say, yes, we're going to issue the bonds, and it will be for a number bigger than the number in the public hearing notice, because there will be some refunding opportunities that will include. We don't have to have a public hearing for that. That's why the numbers are going to be mismatched. But yeah, happy to answer any questions. And then obviously Rob Tonkinson, CFO, is here, can do a better job than I can talking about the projects.
I'm curious, the project already moving forward, I guess, are the 2022 bonds funding the start of that project already?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly the situation. When's the time frame? So expect to be done in 2028.
Are these bonds going to be privately placed, or are they going to be sold out into the market? How? what do you
It'll be a
expect?
public offering.
Rob, how many employees do y'all have at Centra right now?
About 5,500.
That's what I thought. One of our top employers.
Much needed project.
Yeah.
Yes, no kidding.
And
As
we're
soon as you
very
said
excited,
the-
particularly about the emergency
Emergency.
department. Yeah. Yeah.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, right.
And I just want to remind the authority again that these bonds do not constitute a debt or obligation of the city, the Commonwealth, or the authority.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak in opposition of this Centra bond? None? Great. So the public hearing is closed. I can now accept a motion to consider adoption, or a motion to adopt an inducement resolution recommending the EDA issue revenue bonds of approximately $365 million plus refinance of certain previously issued bonds for the benefit of Centra Health, Inc.
Motion as stated.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I need Richard for one more paper, if you don't mind. When you walk out the door, he should be in the room right there to your right. Or do I need him?
Yeah, no, actually, this is Dawn.
Okay.
But, I mean, he can come back.
Well, you know, he needs exercise. Not that way, just it's a lot of stress, right? And you gotta
Agreed.
walk. Yeah, like you were saying, Sean.
Let's see. We'll give Richard a minute, and then we'll move on to item 5.
So this is an estoppel certificate, which I've had to remind myself what that was.
Sounds ominous.
Just about the covenants when you sell property.
Rob's texting because he's not.
Okay, must have escaped.
He might have run out. Thank you.
That's okay, thank you.
We're
Thank
good.
y'all.
Appreciate it.
You don't want to run after your boss.
All right, item 5 is an estoppel agreement for 314 Jefferson Ridge Parkway.
So to approve an estoppel certificate related to the property located at 314 Jefferson Ridge Parkway. This will facilitate the pending sale of the property to MIG Lynchburg Ventures LLC. So the purchaser has, for the property, has requested the Economic Development Authority execute an estoppel certificate confirming the status of the protective covenants associated with, and this is the old name, Lynchpin Industrial Center. The certificate confirms the following: protective covenants recorded in November of 1996 remain in full force and effect. To the EDA's knowledge, the covenants have not been modified or amended. The EDA has not assigned its rights or obligations under the covenants. There are no known defects or violations of the covenants associated with the property, and no notices of covenant violations or claims have been issued by the EDA. And Pavlina and I are working on updating the covenants, but as it stands today, they are the same as those that were recorded in 1996. And execution of the certificate doesn't create any obligations for you all. It just cleans the title up for the sale of the property. And the property's the old River's Edge Furniture Building, 314, previously Erickson, when it was originally built down in the park.
All right, is anyone aware of any reason why we should not approve this estoppel certificate? Would anyone like to speak in favor or against it? May I have a motion to approve it?
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the estoppel certificate for 314 Jefferson Ridge Parkway, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? It is approved.
All right. Y'all are just rolling.
Let's see, item 6, incentive release for both Bausch and Lomb and Delta Star.
Okay. Let's do Bausch and Lomb first. So in 2020, we had a performance agreement with Bausch and Lomb. They, along with VEDP. So as you continue to serve on the Economic Development Authority, in many cases, if we want state funds to come and help fund projects within the city, then the EDA has to match those funds with they have an incentive policy that allows me to talk to people about what we have to offer and allows me to match, which you have to. I go to VEDP for each project and submit an application for the project on behalf of the city and the EDA to say, would you please participate with us in this project? And here's how we met the requirements. So this project had, most of your projects are all CapEx related, whether that be real property improvements or machinery and tools or anything that we receive tax revenue on. The jobs are something that people need to meet a criteria, which is they need to increase their number of jobs. They have a baseline, and they need to increase that by a third. And then you all give a credit for that, whatever the number is they're increasing by, which to even be considered is a third of whatever their current workforce is, not to fall below 30 new jobs, okay? So you're saying we'll consider the jobs, but they have to be over 30, and they have to represent that you're increasing your workforce by a third, okay?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Where does the 79 new jobs come into play?
That's how many Bausch and Lomb said they would create in the performance agreement.
So how do I think about
they
that?
have 169 jobs when they started the project. A third of that, I beg your pardon? 164, okay. 164, they agreed in the performance agreement, they said they would create 79 new jobs, which is more than a third.
Okay.
All right, and more than 30. So it's usually just a one-time credit we give them for 2% of what that increased payroll would be. All right, you very rarely.
We're thinking about the third and not the 79.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just curious how you think about what you're talking about and then this, what's in here. It says
Just for them to even be eligible to participate,
Yeah.
they have to do a third, and it has to be over 30 people. A third of what their existing workforce is, they need to create that many jobs, an additional third of what their workforce is now, and it has to equal at least 30 jobs, or you all don't consider it towards
So we're not
an
worried
incentive.
about that 79 number.
No, well, I'm gonna tell you, I want to make sure, because your policy, and we've talked about, updating that policy, because the policy's been the same for as long as I've been here. And that policy, the EDA's policy was probably created to allow you to match what the state does, right? Because they're gonna look to you to do almost half, if not match dollar for dollar, what they are putting on the table. And sometimes with just CapEx, you can't do that. The issue becomes that for VEDP, they have a way with the Virginia Employment Commission and personal income tax to immediately reap the tax benefits from new employees. Does that make sense? They can record that, whereas for us, we can't see that. And we go off of the Commissioner of Revenue and the city assessor to see where the tax increase has occurred. So in this case, in 2020, if you remember what that was like, they began this project. They were gonna add 79 new jobs, and they were building, I think, an 80 to 90,000 square foot facility. I believe you all have been out there, and we went on a tour through the whole place. It's amazing. The conveyor system alone that they designed to do all of that is astounding. So, we are now at the end of the performance agreement. You all encumbered $280,000 for this project. And Bosch agreed to the 79 new jobs and $35.4 million in capital investment. They did not reach the job performance.
Okay.
They have not reached that. They've only hired almost 38 people. They've done it down to the percentage. All right, so that many people, right, immediately violates it's not a third, it's over 30, but it's not a third of that 164. So, there's $280,000 for you all. You vote to release the money. You've encumbered it for Bosch and Lomb for 6 years, and you vote to release the money. And what I'm here for your consideration today is that while Bosch established targets of 79 new jobs and 35 million in CapEx, they exceeded the investment target. Their CapEx was 37.8. They created 38, I'm just gonna round it off, 38 new jobs, which is below the original target. That said, the jobs they did create were paid a significantly higher wage. So it went from, and I'm just rounding it off, 29,500 annually to 46,500 annually, right? So when I looked at the difference of the amount that I had put in there to count one time for the job side of it, I was only like $11,000 difference between what I put in the original incentive sheet and what they actually, their payroll brought to the table. But given the fact that it doesn't meet your criteria of a third, I'm asking if you would consider the CapEx that has been put in, which has exceeded the amount that you encumbered. So their real estate investment and machinery and tools, even with the recent year's tax decrease, has exceeded the 280,000 over the period of time that you have encumbered the money.
Why are they short on the number of employees? Is it due to labor shortages in the area, or is it mechanization of the factory that they don't need them?
I you know, like I said, I don't really know. I've asked them you know, do they have open jobs right now? And you know, what has gone on? I would say, Sean, that probably once they got that conveyor system in there. And the thing I'll say to you all about jobs is jobs are incredibly important. But when you get involved in a performance agreement to any kind of business, 5 years is a lifetime. Meaning the world changes, how you do things and all of that. And so over my years here, and in the past, EDA never gives their money normally until the back end when everything's all said and done. The state of Virginia used to give their money up front, right? And then when you came, and this, you didn't meet the performance measures that they had set, I had to go and do a clawback on the company for that money. And in many cases, I think the state kind of thought of it as we're the bill collector, but we're also the ones with the incentive on the back end, and therefore those people could take, you know, if they qualified for our incentive, take, you know, some of that money and give it back to VEDP. I don't do that. The ones that I've collected, they paid it, right? So VEDP will look at this performance agreement because they care most about the jobs. They really can't count the real estate tax and the machinery and tools, right? So we kind of have this complementary relationship where VEDP can really, really monitor the job side of it, and we on the ground can monitor the real estate side of it. And I've sent VEDP all of the information that is here. But this is totally up to you all. What I'm saying is your policy is there so that the citizens over a 3 to 5 year period are getting net new revenue on a project that will replace that money. Does that make sense?
What's the EDA's history on these types of rulings or these types of decisions? Have we traditionally looked past?
Yeah, well, you all can, which is really good, you all can look at it on a case-by-case basis and decide what to do, right? You haven't had that many necessarily where jobs were involved, but one of the reasons I brought to you the request to look at the incentive policy differently is when the previous, the most recent previous administration came into being, the amount per job went up significantly. And so our ability to match that was not there, right? So you have to find it from, you know, if you want to be competitive, you have to find it from somewhere, right? And we have spent many a year with the CapEx part of it being enough that it could match. But when they start going to these much larger amounts like you've seen with Delta Star or Framatome, right, because those are really good, high-paying jobs, and that's what they go after. You know, sometimes then, that's why we have the caveat in there that allows us to count the jobs at all, right? Because it gets us to that number.
Has incentive committee met to discuss this and make a recommendation to us?
No.
And I guess should it go, maybe, I don't want to try to belabor this, back to the incentive committee for discussion, and then also looking at what the future requirements, if they should continue to be the same?
Well, I think the incentive policy is going to take, I mean, it's one of those things where I look at best practices on the policies all the time, and they're not going to change. What's going to change is if the state starts paying a higher number per job, you all just have to understand, you know, you have to look at whether what you're going to pay for the job side of it or what you're willing to do on that side of it increases, right? So it's not there's nothing for me to bring you that is beyond that fact, meaning if the state goes up in the amount that they give credit to somebody giving incentive for a job, you've just got to look at, do you match that? Do you go somewhere in the middle? What do you do there, right? And all of this with this this incentive is just, the main thing here, and I certainly will discuss it with the incentive committee. This is a 6-year slog on this particular incentive. And like I said, I didn't know what the bottom line, numbers were gonna be from the accountants, right? They didn't submit the annual report until later on, and they were going back and forth. I just took what was given from our side of it, and then I dug even deeper, right? Because, like I said, you all need to understand this. The incentive committee is new people on the committee, and so it's good for everybody to hear. And I can certainly take it back to them. I just want you to know that the basis, this is just me, the basis of what we do is to make sure that the citizens of Lynchburg get a return on their investment and start benefiting, getting more tax dollars within a 3 to 5 year period. And this project has accomplished that, although it did not do it in the same manner that in 2020, when they signed the agreement, that they put in there.
Well, I guess I'm just wondering in the future, how much weight we put on that job number.
If you look at the original performance agreement that was signed with the Commonwealth Opportunity Fund, it's 80% towards capital expenditure and 20% towards jobs. So it leans very heavily towards the CapEx piece and very lightly towards the job piece. And they eclipsed the CapEx piece. And it looks like if you look at full-time equivalents, they were maybe 20% short on jobs. I think if you run the numbers that way, the 80% is going to outweigh the 20% pretty meaningfully.
Okay.
And as Margette said, they have...
And the 38 have a $46,000 average versus what 29 was in them. So that is a part of this.
And sometimes, like you all were asking about the jobs, I mean, during COVID and coming out, you had to be a lot more competitive with what you were going to be willing to pay people. And therefore, maybe your budget was, and I will just say in the history, my history of being here, in a performance agreement, if anything is not going to go the way you planned, it's going to be the jobs. They usually always overachieve on the CapEx side of it, right? So that's where we usually, hang our hat, right? So, like I said, I was just, after, I went through all of this, I was just really pleased to see that even with tax rate decreases. So the last 2 or 3 years, we've had a decrease every year since, in taxes. The amount that they paid once the project was done has exceeded the $280,000. So they've paid the city in excess of $300,000 over and above what they were paying the day they signed the agreement. So this is really important because, the incentive committee is there, but the incentive committee is going off the policy too. And you all are allowed to make a decision because, in my mind, we go to VDP and I want to gather every dollar I can for my businesses here in Lynchburg. I don't want to leave anything laying on the table. But VDP moves on to the next municipality. These are my people here, and I want to make sure that they know, right, being good stewards of the money, but that we are there to take care of them, and we are also there to look at their extenuating circumstances. And because you all are just like them, you have businesses of your own, and that's what we're looking at, and that's what we're doing, right? Now, I definitely, when you budget, and especially in the times that we've been in with some of these larger projects, people wanting to get their money early, you all have said, we really don't want to release the money early because it turns a budget, upside down. So we make them wait till the end of the performance agreement.
Does VEDP have an opinion on this?
VDP will follow. I don't have their opinion yet because all this has gone back and forth with the accountants that are working with Bosch and Lomb on all of this. But I ran the numbers based on what I know VDP's policy is, and VDP would probably give them $110 and some change $1,000 of their $210,000 incentive, but they would not. They would probably ding them on the job side, you know, and maybe give them $42,000 of the remainder of what would go on there, because they have a threshold there that they really, the people on the ground there can't, they want to work with you any way they can, but it is what it is. So Bosch and Lomb will definitely be getting less money from VEDP.
I was just saying, I don't know if it's worth trying to come up, and whether we do that today or in the future, have a mathematical equation that if they met 80% of their capital, or they met all of their capital plus, there would be some sort of multiplier with that, and 20% was on the jobs, they're 50% of their 20%, but they're over 100% on the capital. Could there be some way that there's taken out us just saying yay or nay based on you or whoever's in your seat in the future end up here, that, you know, they would get still 95% of that money or maybe even more?
And I would say that over the years that I've been here, the job side of it's always incredibly important for VDP to even acknowledge it. But also is that, you know, most of what you all have done has been on that CapEx and M&T and all of that side. So that suggestion right there, Sean, is a really good one that wouldn't leave you in, you know, in a situation you'd be looking there at the jobs and saying if you met this, because that's what VDP does. They say if you didn't hit this threshold on the jobs, then here is how much we will give you, you know, based on that. But in this case, right, I was just very pleased as I ran all the numbers again, which I, in no way, I didn't even really want to look at it, because I know we've had tax decreases, right? And I based this, when I gave you the original one, on $1.11 per 100. We're at 83, and we've been at lower for the years, but, you know, the assessment, usually commercial and industrial doesn't go up anywhere near like residential does, but in this case, and if you saw it, it's a, you know, behemoth.
But also their salaries ought to be
facility.
adjusted in somewhat positive way,
Oh,
because
yeah.
what they're paying.
Yes.
And not look at just the actual
Absolutely. Well, that was the other
positions.
part too,
Yeah.
but I just went, you know, for ease of this body making a decision, or the incentive committee, is it's in the performance agreement, but because it went below the level, I was kind of doing what Sean was suggesting by saying, I'm gonna take that part out. But for your knowledge, you know, they raised the salaries and they got 38 new jobs instead of the 79, but they significantly raised the salary. But if I pull that out and go strictly on CapEx, the amount you encumbered is smooth, you're good to go there, right? So that, I'm just giving you all of that information. You can punt, and I'll get the incentive committee together. But I do want everybody, even when it comes from the incentive committee, people change of who's gonna be on that, and we need to have a policy or a thought process, which I really appreciate, Sean, and John, that just says, it gives you all flexibility, because that's why you're here. I wanna give you, you know, I want you to feel comfortable with it, but the truth is, these are our businesses, and we look at what they're doing, we try to forecast the future, and certainly they agreed to it and signed it. But like I said, the world can change on you in 3 to 5 years, has been my experience from a manufacturing or even financial services or any of that.
I just think it's more about having a process for the
Yes.
future. I agree with everything you said, but
But normally we have a process, I'm not saying it's the right process, but we have the process of the incentive committee meets, you know, they would, if I get them to stay after, but I can do it now because we can meet. We don't have to, you don't have to stay after to meet. We can do a meeting like we did with the property committee.
yeah.
I'll just take minutes for Pavlina. So that you had a policy, and you can go back and look at that policy. So the incentive committee is looking at that, then you put it out there, then you encumber it, and then you release it when it comes up, right? And hopefully you don't have something like this where you can't, you need to take it back again, right? So, yes, I will follow the process, so Toby, you and Kevin can expect to get a call from me where I will repeat exactly what I'm saying right now, and you'll have lots of time to think about whether or not you want to recommend to this body in April whether to release that check for that amount or whether you want to reduce it. Okay, Delta Star built a road as part of their incentive for the first incentive package that they had. They built a road, built an entryway into a city road. It's not being paid for by you all, it's being paid for by Road, Water, and Sewer. It's been inspected by the city. I just wanted to let you know that we were working to release that money to them. So your encumbrances will go down by, that amount. They shouldn't have encumbered them under you, even though the performance agreement says, it says $850, $250 of that comes from Road, Water, and Sewer.
So you're just notifying us that the 250 is flowing through?
Yes. That I would release the $250 based on the city's inspection of the road built by, which has been there for ages now, or the improvements to the road. It's Cohen Place, and comes off of there and goes through. I've just had the money encumbered in the city's Road, Water, and Sewer as a project, and therefore, Keisha and I like to stay on top of that and say, let's go ahead and any time that I can from an infrastructure perspective, if there's any infrastructure to be done, I'll try to remove that risk from you all as an incentive and put it back on that Road, Water, and Sewer if I have enough money in there to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
We get so much money for Road, Water, and Sewer, hopefully, every year. And we encumber it now by the project so that we know it won't be touched until we need it. And so I'm trying to keep really copious records on all that so I know when we get a project that I have that to work with, or how much I have to work with, in case I can replace any, cash payment for capital investment or jobs or any of that with an infrastructure. Because infrastructure is always preferred, because the citizens get to keep that. Infrastructure meaning road, water, and sewer, or it can even be telecommunications, it can be anything infrastructure-wise. Okay. I have one more thing that came in during the week, and that is that VDOT has asked for permission to go on your property for the Peaks to Creeks Trail project. So they would,
That's the
They're
trail
just-
that's the trail from over there to Peaksview Park?
Yes. So they're doing preliminary engineering and a feasibility stage, not any kind of construction. They need to collect field data before making any decisions. What they want to do is walk the site, survey boundaries and topography, locate utilities, take soil borings or environmental samples, and conduct geotechnical investigations. The work is temporary and intermittent. The crews are really small, 3 to 5 people. And the work window they have is April 6th through July 3rd. I looked up all the parcels that they are referencing here, and none of those parcels are in play right now. Meaning they're not part of the Wigington Road, they're not part of their Chapel Lane, they're not anything that we would have to worry about. If they were to say that we'd love for the trail to be able to go here, you all would have to say that's okay and all the rest of it. But it's not gonna be in the way of the due diligence that's being done on your Wigington Road properties that you awarded the RFP to
This would go
NVR.
from Ivy Creek Park to Peaksview Park?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so all I need is just a little card, and you just either give me or you sign and say, yes, you may walk on the property.
Also, if we choose not to give them permission, they can do it anyway. Because that's what it says right here.
Yeah.
If you don't want to give us permission, we will come on the
All
dates
right,
that we
good.
told you.
I need to find some incentive language like that. If you don't agree with me, then, no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Should we take a vote on that to give permission?
Sure.
Does anyone have any questions on? May I have a motion to authorize permission to VDOT to enter our property?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Permission granted. What's next? Staff report?
Staff report. There is no staff, no. There's Keisha, she's got my back. She even helped me put the public hearing on there this morning. Pavlina's got my back too. It's just a lot of things going on. A lot of things on the tourism side. The PDGA's coming back. They should be here the first week in April. Toby probably knows better than me. Right now, the Virginia meeting planners or the Mid-Atlantic meeting planners are,
Association executive planners are.
yeah, so
meeting.
people that make the decisions on where meetings and conferences are gonna go all over the state of Virginia are up at his place. Andrew's, yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Y'all got all kinds of things, ready for them,
Lynchburg.
to do. So, the property committee did meet, so I'm gonna have minutes of that, and so Toby, I'll grab you and Kevin, I'll just send you an email, and we'll meet to go over it. I've got the agenda, I wrote minutes on it. A lot of it's just to, you all don't have any real power other than to make a recommendation back to the full authority. Full authority must be here to vote on not every person, but a quorum in order to affect the action. But I will let you all know, and it'll be wonderful because you'll be first on there, Kevin will be on there. So any questions that you have will kind of help me think through it differently if I'm not, right? But I've tried to look at best practices many times over the years. I've let Anna look at them. I've done all of that, and we come back to the same kind of things based on how we tax people. Like, what does it look like from the commissioner's office? And then whoever is at VDP, which had never changed while I've been here until Governor Youngkin. And then it got much more competitive, right? He was gonna win the business, which I really appreciated. So, I've got a lot of business visits that I'm setting up because I'm taking a cast of thousands. All of you are invited to go to the airport. I put the invitation in your package. On Tuesday, they'll be celebrating from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night because the plane comes from Dulles. I'll be on the first plane from Dulles to Lynchburg, and then get on the plane from Lynchburg to Chicago. And we're having a site selection reception there, and in Chicago, yeah. Yeah. And then, we will come back the next day. I come back through, I catch Chicago back to Lynchburg, so I'll be back that evening. So it goes Dulles to Lynchburg, Lynchburg to Chicago, Chicago, Lynchburg, Lynchburg, Dulles. And as I told you on your sheet, I'll bring Cedric and Susan in here to talk to you about the marketing. There was just so many things that were gonna be on here that I didn't put it on here. And given all that's happening, I mean, what the price of fuel is gonna be, and that's part of the subsidy too. It's a lot of things happening right now. A lot of things happening right now. Poor Cedric came and talked to me yesterday. So we got Enterprise Zone 46. I just found out this week got renewed. That's a lot of work to redesignate our enterprise zones. We have 2. We have to fill out applications for the state. The due diligence on Wigginton Road is moving right along. I just got through sending them some additional information on the cell phone tower lease and on the master plan that was done for that area too when we did it the second time. I am working with Public Works on 2253, and we talked about this in the property committee, and 2273 Lakeside Drive, which you all took in trade on the 109 Ramsey Place property. There's a proposed road to go through there, and I'm in negotiations with Public Works to look at whether there would be any financial, because it kind of cuts right through the 2 parcels, whether there's money there that they can get from VDOT to purchase right away, because you all need to be made whole when you've got a property there and it's gonna go right through the middle of it. So I'm going to, I had a conversation with Kent. He was really helpful at telling me some of the avenues I had to pursue there. And 201 Jefferson Ridge is closed. Thank you, Pavelina. And we are now prioritizing the fill. So one of the reasons that site was so attractive is because A, we don't have a lot of sites, but also we could take the fill off 201 and put it on 200, or use it for sites A and B at the end of the cul-de-sac. And so we've gotten, Public Works is the project manager for sites A and B, and they also were involved in looking at 201 to make sure that fill would work, and they're gonna help me to prioritize where the fill should go to move us forward. So we're at about 40% on the plans for sites A and B to begin that work or send it out to bid. And we need to do that because that will generate, when we get those plans done, that will generate the performance agreement between you all and VEDP for that $4 million they're gonna contribute to sites A and B. And I updated 31 pages for the bond credit rating presentation in my spare time for the city's going for a bond issue at the end of this month. They're going to the credit rating agencies and then for a bond issue.
It doesn't come back through here for approval,
Uh-uh.
nothing to do with us.
Nothing to do with you. That's for the city itself. You all have, all municipalities, I believe, have a certain amount of bond capacity that they can process, right? But these bonds are, it's very exciting anytime that a bond comes through, because as you can tell, they are both tax exempt institutions. And so therefore, the very meager fee that this authority charges for that, for the ability to do that, is what we can use for incentives or for running programs here. So I was really excited to learn that Central was not just refinancing, but they needed additional capacity there. And especially since 2022 was a lifetime ago, and the cost of construction. So we will all be very excited when Lynchburg General and the emergency room and all that stuff gets done. That's a big deal, and that's a lot of economic impact in this community for all of that. And then the Virginia Baptist stuff, if any of you all want any information on that. And I've also been asked to ask you that if you're willing to please participate in the selection of the new fire chief, to go to the public meetings and that kind of thing. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any questions on anything before we?
Man, y'all did a great job. You rolled through this.
All right.
That's a lot.
If there are no further items, then this meeting is adjourned. Property Committee will meet now.